So first, your host, let's get a little bit about each of us. My name is James. I was a Kaiwa teacher for a year, then I was ALT for 6 years. Now I'm translator, doing ALTInsider.com kind of stuff. How about Laura? Tell us about you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Laura Hupp, and I'm a third-year ALT from Yamanashi. I live in Hokuto City, and I teach at one junior high school, one elementary school.
There you go. Kevin Guzzie, tell us about you.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Kevin Guzman. I am from Boston, Massachusetts, in America. This is my first year in JET. I'm an early departure or arrival, depending on how you want to look at it. I teach in one junior high school, so I teach 10 to 13-year-old kids, and I am very deep in the thick Inaka.
There you go. Rachel, Pommes Frites.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel. I am a early departure, early arrival JET for the Iwate Prefecture. I work for a private high school, so my kids are like 14 to 18 in between. I'm also pretty thick Inaka, and my school's a low-performing high school, so it's a little rough.
Low performing is a nice way to say. There are some tough students there, tough situations. Okay. I guess to kind of not breeze past here. So, Rachel, we learned your school is kind of tough. Laura, how would you describe your schools? As, a breeze? Some are difficult, some are tough. What do you think?
I'd say junior high is pretty normal. It has its bad days and its good days. And then elementary school, I'd say it's a little on the lower learner side. So some of the kids haven't studied English a lot, or they perform a little bit lower than other kids, but they're also not very bad, I guess you'd say.
Okay. All right, Kevin, how about you? What's your situation like?
I would say my school is pretty low level. It's a very small school. I think I have about 310-ish students in total. So a lot of rice fields around. So I think that kind of goes along with the level of just the academic level of the entire school. But my students are really like super nice. Like all my students are really nice. They're well behaved. They listen. I maybe have a couple of kids that like to talk a little bit, and all in all, they're very nice.
Okay. I guess to keep pushing this, every situation is a different thing. How about let's talk about your guys' workload. So, Laura, how many classes do you have a week on average, and how much are you expected to do in each of those?
So for junior high, we have only 4 classes in total, because we have first, second, and third years, and there's only 1 class of first and second, and then 2 of third. So per day in junior high, we only have 4 classes maximum of English. And in that workload, my JTE is the main teacher, and I'm just the assistant. I am the ALT, the assistant language teacher. Yeah. So she does. I actually have 2 JTs, and they do all the lesson planning, and I am the pronouncer of all things English, as I like to call it. So I do like vocab drills and read passages of books, and just general help out with class. And then for my elementary school, which is 2 days a week, we do have a JTE for the 6th grade, because English has increased as of April for elementary schoolers for 5th and 6th grade. And then for 1st through 5th, I have 3rd and 4th once a week, and then 5th graders twice a week. And then that is stuff that I have to plan all myself. And I do talk to the homeroom teachers, and we sort of collaborate a little bit, but most of it is me.
Okay, cool.
And then, yeah.
Okay, how about you, Guzzie?
So my workload is actually pretty heavy, but that's not because I have to like I'm not the main teacher. I am purely an assistant in all my classes. But I do have between 5 and 6 classes a day. My lighter days are 4 classes a day. And in all those classes, I'm doing a little bit of what Laura said. So I'm basically the pronouncer of all things English. So I guess you could put it on the tape recorder type of thing, that side of things. But I think the thing that takes the most time out of my day is grading things. I grade absolutely everything. I grade quizzes, tests. All of my students have like a green blue workbook with a bunch of like worksheets in it, and I do all that grading. So that takes a big chunk out of my day. But yeah, so that's pretty much what my daily workload looks like. It's pretty from the get-go, 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock. I'm pretty busy all the time.
Okay, and then finally, Pommes Frites.
So my workload is usually, it's about 4 classes a day. So what is that? 16, maybe 19 or 20 classes. Originally, I had a bit more than that, but it turns out the more advanced JTEs, when they teach the third years and the second year high levels, they just have me come like bi-weekly or even once a month. So I get lucky in that point. My workload's a bit heavy because I teach like full time. I'm not like the assistant for my JTE. So I didn't have a predecessor who was like an ALT. They had fully hired on a direct hire teacher. So they brought on a part-timer to replace a full-time teacher.
Okay.
So I teach 3 types of students. So I teach regular college-bound kids. And in that point, I get to be kind of a recorder, which is nice. And then I also teach commerce students. So these are kids that are just going to go get jobs. And there is no textbook for them, no curriculum. It's all on me to come up with everything. Same thing is I have auto mechanic kids. So kids that are going to go work for shops or auto body mechanics. Same thing there, except they absolutely don't want to learn English, which makes it hard.
Okay. So yeah, as you can see from the wide breadth here, I mean, it's pretty crazy, right? We got very different situations, and that's the kind of the theme of this whole thing, right? Is every situation is different. Everything can be exactly what you expect. Everything can be nothing what you expect, right? So you just got to get used to it. So be prepared for it. Actually, you can't get used to it, I guess. So let's talk about schedule here. We're gonna do intro. That's kind of just was the intro. Then we're gonna cover the before you leave kind of stuff you should know, the after you leave kind of stuff, and the Q&A. I should say a few things. All these pictures are brought by our beautiful hosts' Instagram. So if you want to click on those, their links are all below this page. So go check those out. Obviously. Also, I will call Kevin Guzzie and I'll call Rachel Pommes Frites. That's their Discord name. So if you're not on Discord yet, I really recommend you do because it's a really cool place to talk with people that are working in Japan or hope to be in the future. So yeah, a lot of people, like-minded people on there that talk a lot of stupid stuff every day. So yeah, there you go. So thing to remember here, every situation is different. I've already said it like 15 times, and you will hear it a lot more times before you get to Japan. How many times did you hear it, do you think, in your training, guys, Kevin and Rachel?
It was pretty often, like every panel.
Yeah, there you go.
Every panel, and you still hear it when you get to your prefecture. You hear it, or you're from school. You hear it all the time. So just get used to it. It gets annoying, but
yeah. So like we could give like the best advice of our time, but it might not matter to you in the end, right? Because you might not have that situation. So just keep that in mind. And again, this is just our advice. There's no like real like this is the best thing to do. This is the right answer, right? It's all about things. You have to make a decision in the end of what you do, right? We're just trying to give advice and help, right? So let's get to before you leave stuff. So we have a lot of topics here. I'm not going to keep this up. Let's keep the beautiful face of our panel up here. So let's get that up again. And so first thing I want to talk about is who wants to take the kind of packing stuff. Like I don't want to spend too much time on packing because it's kind of, we've heard it's all over the internet, right? But any other special advice you want to give about that? I'll start with you, Kevin, since you're on here
now. Let's see. Okay, so I think packing. So I spoke a lot with my predecessor about what his situation was, and the first things I asked him was dress code, right? So my school's a little bit on the casual side, so I can get away with like a decent pair of pants and like a button down. Mm-hmm. So I made sure I brought enough of that stuff, just so I look professional at work, even if most of the teachers, which they do, some of them wear tracksuits and just like a t-shirt sometimes, but I like to dress as best as I can, I guess, except for today. What else? So then you kind of got a plan based on your prefecture. So mine's mid-Japan, so it's not too cold. It's actually really nice weather. So I didn't bother bringing a lot of like heavy winter stuff. If it comes down to it, and this kind of depends on your home situation, you can have your family members send you stuff. I know some people may not have that luxury of relying on family members, but if that's your option, you can have them send you winter stuff or maybe some things that may take up too much room. You got to remember that you only have a limited amount of space or weights limit when you come here. If you're from America, you're most likely going to have 2 suitcases, 50 pounds each. So you kind of got to prioritize what is important for you and what's not. Also remember that you're in Japan. You can buy some of the stuff you need. But yeah, I would say definitely bring clothes. Bring some of the essentials. Like for example, I brought a ton of toothpaste because I've heard the toothpaste here is pretty crap. I also brought some extra deodorant because of the same reason. So kind of things like that. Make sure you kind of think about bringing. Also, if you have particular medicine that you kind of have to take, think about taking that kind of stuff. So yeah, just kind of think about where you're going. If you can communicate with your predecessor, talk to him or her about what their situation kind of requires, and then obviously your personal stuff. So that's very kind of on your own kind of person decision for you to make.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that. Rachel, want to add anything to that?
Yeah, for sure. So when it came to packing, I knew that I was coming somewhere that's got really extremely cold winters. We can get 10 feet of snow a month. So I couldn't just pack my summer clothes, even though I was coming in the spring. So I ended up actually bringing 3 luggages. So you can do it. It's just kind of physically hard to move through an airport with 3 gigantic suitcases. But it'll only cost an extra like $150. So it's definitely worth it if you need to, because just a small like 1 by 1 foot box from America to Japan is $100.
Yeah.
So if you can bring 50 pounds and you need to bring it. So what I brought is I brought my winter coats, my parka, my winter boots. Like it takes up a lot of weight. So I have plenty of space, but it took up a lot of weight. There are a few things that I'm like, I wish I didn't bring. You can buy clothes here. I'm a bigger person, so I'm 16, size 16. So shopping in Japan is hard. Like it's not a joke. You can shop at Uniqlo or at GU, but you have to shop online, which is something I don't like to do. So I packed everything I'm going to need at least for this first year. And hopefully after that, I'll either get shipments from home, which you can do, or there are places you can shop in like Tokyo if you make a visit. So I'm going to probably do that. But yeah, like common sense things to pack, of course, like Guzzie said, with deodorant, medicines. I just got sick. So it was a lifesaver having the medicine I needed already on me until I could get to the doctor. So you can bring anything over the counter. So I brought like liquid flu medicine, Advil, Tylenol, the whole works. Just bring it. It's cheaper to bring it than to buy it here.
Yeah, and definitely the strength is different, and yeah, just the medicine for me doesn't do anything here. The pain medicine stuff, so yeah, that's worth bringing. It's so small anyway, so yeah, go to Walmart, get the huge. I got the huge like pain medicine thing. It lasts me like I don't know 6 years, and like it costs me like $8. Laura, you want anything to add about the packing kind of side of things?
I mean, not really. Everything's pretty much covered. Just coming to Yamanashi, it's kind of like in between. Like we get kind of hot summers, but we also get really cold winters, and then I personally don't deal with cold very well. So I made it a point to pack my winter coat and some boots that I knew would do well in snow. And yeah, it did make my luggage heavier, but in the end, it was worth it because I didn't have to get that shipped over. I mean, yeah, basically, I think Kevin and Rachel covered it, and like, just like figure out where you're going and what the weather's going to be like, and try to talk to other people in your area and see what they say. Definitely ditto with the deodorant and the toothpaste because Japanese ones are different for real. Also, like if you have any special products that you use for you, I recommend bringing them. For example, I have a scalp condition, and so I had to bring some special shampoo for that. It was over the counter, so it was fine, but like that stuff might not be readily available. I did actually happen to find a Japanese equivalent to it. So it is possible, but from the beginning, perhaps just bring what you need until you can find something, and then it's possible to get things shipped if you like that, but it can be expensive.
Yeah, and also I want to add the electric. If you have any electricity things that take the 3 prongs, you want to bring one of those adapter things, because you can buy those online too. But it's better just to bring it. So small, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So if I can add on that.
Yeah.
So I brought a surge protector kind of extension cord, and I just plugged one into one of those adapters. So literally just have one thing, and then now I have like 10 plugs that kind of are good for American electronics. So I recommend doing that. Even bring a couple of those if you can. I just brought one of each, but definitely a lifesaver.
Yeah. Also, fire hazard, putting everything in there, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just if you bring, that's a good idea though for sure. I have that too. I could look down here and see I have 10 things in one strip there. Okay, so let's talk about anything else to pack. I think we covered packing. If there's any questions, keep going them in chat, and I'll add. I have a list here already going of questions we got in chat. We'll get to all those at the end for sure. So if you have any other questions of packing stuff, any specific concerns, bringing your cat or anything, let me know in there. Don't do it, by the way. Okay, let's talk about Omiyage. So I'll just give my thoughts a little bit here. My overall thoughts of Omiyage is just don't worry about it. If it's the cause of your stress, just forget about it, right? Like if it's just it's not shouldn't be this bane of your existence for the next month of deciding what Omiyage to get, right? So many people think it's like the biggest decision of your life in Japan, but it's such a small thing. It'll be forgotten about in 3 seconds. The fact that you did it will be remembered, right? Okay. What's someone in the chat here? Let me get someone here. Mark gave us Omiyage, right? That's it though. They don't remember what it was. They don't remember where it's from. They don't remember your deepest shit story about where you got it from. They just remember you gave it to them, right? So that's cool though. So you have to want to get something, but don't think about it too deep. Who wants to add stuff about that?
I brought a few different things, and I actually only gave one of them. I kind of like read the situation with how my teachers were with me, and I just kept some of the Omiyage for myself. But that first day I brought like this really big, like sea salt chewy things from America. And I didn't even get to like explain what they were. They just took them from me and put it in the share area.
Yeah.
And then some people were coming up to me to say thank you, and I had to explain to them it's like a haichu. So something that's easy to explain if you don't know Japanese is probably a good idea. Don't be like, this has a long history of, like, just tell them it's candy.
Yeah. Don't get too deep. Yeah. Because like you said, you didn't get a chance to explain it. You had a great story, but they're like, oh, okay. Anyways, okay. Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else want to add? What did you do, Guzzie, for that?
All right. So I do recommend bringing something, right?
Yeah. Something is good.
Don't stress over it 100%. Like I see so many people on Facebook posting, "Oh, bro, what are you bringing for this? What are you bringing from Miyagi?" Like, don't treat it that way. So I brought something obviously unique to my area. I'm in New England, Northeast, so maple syrup's kind of a big thing. So I brought a bunch of little maple syrup things for my JTEs. So I knew beforehand that I was gonna have 4 JTEs. So I brought 4 little kind of medium-sized maple syrups just for them. And then I knew that I have 26 teachers besides me on the teachers room. So I brought little like maple syrup taffies from my area, and that I just distributed kind of individually. And I also had some extra little maple syrup bottles that I brought just in case I met someone along the way that kind of helped me out. So I brought all that stuff, and then there's, for example, one teacher in particular that's always giving me food. She's always bringing stuff like snacks for me. So I'm like, you're very nice. I'm gonna bring you some Omiyage. So the next day I brought her some maple syrup, and she was so happy about it. So yeah, definitely bring stuff, but don't stress over it because it's definitely not, like you said, some people will definitely forget about it, and that's 100% true. Because you'll see one of these days you'll come into the teacher's room and you'll have something on your desk and you have no idea who's it from.
Yeah.
So teachers do that all the time. So don't stress over it. They will forget about what you brought, but they'll definitely appreciate it when you first give it to them. So.
Yeah. That said, if you have a good situation where like if the teachers are interested, then it's a good chance to talk, right? That is true. But just don't expect that. It might not even happen. You might have the chance to do that. All right. Last one, Lori, want to add anything?
Yeah. Agree with Kevin about like I recommend bringing something. Make sure you bring something that's individually packaged because things in Japan often are, and it's just easier to hand out. I brought packages of little gummies, which probably weren't like eaten. I think some of the teachers didn't eat them, but I did bring something. But also, again, don't stress over it. It's totally fine if you don't want to bring anything. They don't expect it at all. It's just seen as a nice gesture. Also, I do recommend if you want to save the space and maybe if you like to make things, I often bake for my schools and they super love it because they're just like, oh my God, Laura, you're amazing. And I'm like, really, I just wanted to eat brownies, but I didn't want to eat the whole pan. So here you go. So yeah, but I do bake quite often for my schools. I had 3 schools. So I brought Omiyage for my main school and then I baked for my other 2 schools. And yeah, and it was actually quite appreciated. And then I also got to eat it. So I also recommend making things.
That's cool. That's cool. I never heard of baking for school. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm sure they go crazy for it too. Fruit Roll had a good idea, good point here in the chat. She said, "Don't bring non-food items," and that is definitely true because they'll be like, "What?"
Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. That's Rachel. Yeah. Talk about that. Yeah. What do they think about that?
So yeah, I brought hats, like baseball caps, because everybody loves baseball in Japan. And I think people really would enjoy the gift, but that first day that you go to your school, there's really no time to be like, oh, this is for you. Here's a special bag. Like, I literally just got off the train from Tokyo and I'm tired. And then after a week, it just becomes awkward. Like, do I take it to an Enkai? Do I give it at Christmas? So they're just in my bag still. So don't bring any non-foods.
Yeah, it's like because people expect food, so then when you don't have food, it's like, all right, what do I do with this now? All right, it's kind of like that is cool. Food is an easy thing. Okay, I'm supposed to eat it. There you go. Did you? Kyle's a good question. Let's get to it now. Did you bring omiyage your first day, like when you the first day you got there? Did you bring it then? Anybody?
No, I brought it my first day of school because we were so busy from the time that I actually got to Yamanashi to, like, basically I didn't actually go and start school until opening ceremony day. So that's the day that I chose to bring it.
Okay, and when else?
When all the teachers were there. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you go to your very first day, you're not sure who might be there. You might just be there just to meet the principal and stuff like that. Anyone else have any situation, any other experience there?
I'll say something.
Yeah.
So because I was early arrival, my school was actually going on fully as my first day started. So I don't know if Laura, maybe did you come in like July or April or August?
Yeah, I was in Group B. I was in August. So.
Okay. Yeah. So when you came, she was. It was kind of vacation time, right? So maybe not all the teachers were there. For me, all the teachers were there. So and I knew that beforehand. That was one of the reasons I applied for early departure. So I brought all my omiyage that first day of school that I had to go to school. And basically what I said, you'll be brought to the teacher's room, you'll do a little intro, and then literally right after the intro, I was like, this is omiyage, please take it or whatever. And then I just went up to the teacher's desk and I gave them the little individual taffies, the maple syrup taffies. And then after, I also gave some of that to my JTEs. And then afterwards, when I had more kind of individual time with my JTEs, I gave them the bigger stuff, the little maple syrup stuff. So yeah, I recommend getting it out of the way as soon as possible, just so you're not hanging on to whatever you're holding on to for weeks. And then it just becomes kind of weird after. It's like, hey, I know I got here 3 weeks ago, but here's some omiyage.
Yeah. Just you might lose the chance. Yeah. What'd you do, Rachel?
Mine is like Kevin. So we only had 3 days from when we arrived until I started teaching. So those first 2 or 3 days, it was so busy with like apartment setup that I didn't go to the school. And then my first day of school, I was so worried about actually like having to teach that I didn't like plan. I just brought a bag of candy and gave it to them. And I was like, here, okay, time to learn how to do my job. It really wasn't that big a deal.
Okay, cool. Okay, so
Can I say one more thing?
Yep, Laura too, you're next. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so Migs asked the question, do you give something extra to the principal or someone unknown VIP? You don't have to, but I did. So I kind of brought bigger bottles for my principal and vice principal, and kind of smaller bottles for my JTEs, and then this little stuff for the rest of the teachers. So I kind of did go ahead and kind of approach it that way for the vice principal and principal. So I did do that.
Okay. Laura?
Yeah, I also did that as well. But one point I want to make about handing it out is sometimes there is a tea or a lunch person who will take that omiyage for you and hand it out for you. So it might be of interest to like ask about that because it can, when you're first getting there, it can be kind of awkward. You don't always know how things go in the staff office and stuff. So it might help to have that person there or your JT or somebody who can direct you to be like, oh, you can give it to this person. They'll help like hand it out and stuff. One thing to note is that often like students will come to the staff room, and at least at my school, we're not supposed to eat snacks at all in front of the kids. So the tea person will wrap it up in like a paper or like something or an envelope and put it on our desk. So yeah, it's very secretive. Apparently we can't have snacks ever. So yeah, so it might just be something to think about to like when you first get to your schools. So just kind of feel it out and like see if there's that option.
Yeah, asking your GT what to do is always a good idea if you're not sure. So they're there to help you, right? So you say, hey, I want to give this Omiyage out. Do you know what I should do here? And she'll know right away what to do. She might say, well, just pass it out right now. Or she might say, well, give it to that person, and she passed it out. You know, you never know how it goes. But, of course, every situation is different. Okay, what's the next question on the list here? Okay, a lot of questions about, obviously, SIM card and Wi-Fi adapter is a huge topic, right? I mean, everyone worries about what to do. It's another issue you have. Rachel has a funny story about her internet. Not funny, actually. It's kind of sad. We'll get to that later. So the one that Jet is kind of pushing it's kind of coming out a lot is this one we've seen on the boards a lot. I'll bring up the thing here. This one is made for Jet. So the good thing about this one is I did research on it myself. I don't want to give the crap here. The good thing about this one is it is made exactly for Jets, so you're already approved, and it comes from your bank account. A lot of people said it comes from your credit card. That is not true. It comes from your Jet bank account. So the link is right there too, so if you want to check that out. That's the one that you will find in your welcome packages. You'll get that same paper right there about that one. But yeah, let's talk about who is a SIM card for, right? What did any of you choose SIM card, and who do you recommend SIM card for? Anybody?
So I can go first, I guess.
Yeah.
I went the SIM card route because I wanted to save money. And that's what I wanted to do from the very beginning. I wanted to get a SIM card, but obviously I was open to getting a plan here if that's what my situation required. So the first thing that I did was I asked my predecessor about it and asked him what he did. He went with the plan thing, but there's also, when you get accepted, you can join like a prefecture like Facebook group, and that's what I did. And I just popped that question in there: hey, do you guys have SIM cards, plans? What do you recommend? And everyone there said, hey, I recommend the SIM card. Just make sure your phone is compatible with the Japanese signal things.
Yeah.
So basically, all you need to know is that your phone receives like band 1 and 19. So if you can Google that, that's all you need to know. If your phone can accept those bands, you're good to go in Japan. So if you have like anything above an iPhone 6, you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about it. I'm not too sure with the Android phones, but if iPhone 6 and above, you're 100% fine. But yeah, so I talked to him about that, as well as some other people from my prefecture. And then what I did was I researched some companies and kind of looked at their coverage area. So Shiga Docomo is really good in Shiga. So I ended up going with a company that not directly with Docomo, but a company that uses Docomo's service. So I have perfect service. I haven't had any problems yet, and I pay about $25 a month. So 2,500 yen a month for 6 gigs, and I forget how much texting or call, because you won't be calling as much when you're here. You'll be using mostly stuff for messaging. So 6 gigs is fine. The other amazing thing about Sims is that you're not locked to a 2-year contract. So say you come here, you lock yourself into a 2-year contract. Something happens that you might have to leave after a year. You're gonna have to pay a cancellation fee. So I don't have that. So I can just cancel my contract whenever I want. So that's why I prefer the flexibility and freedom of having a SIM card.
Okay, and just because I know, Rachel, you did not do SIM card. So what did you do, and how was your experience?
So I had intended to do SIM card. I had looked into a lot of them. The one called Sakura Mobile looked really nice. The data plan was nice. But when I got here, even though my phone was okay, supposedly with the specs, it said it would work in Japan. And I actually had T-Mobile, so I was going to be able to keep using my T-Mobile account here.
Yep.
But it turned out the phone was not going to work. So I had to get a whole new phone. So at that point, I decided to just go ahead and get a plan with Docomo. I chose Docomo as well because I wanted Android. So it kind of seems like SoftBank has a partnership with Apple, so they mostly do iPhones or some Chinese phones. So I wanted a Galaxy, so I went with Samsung. I paid for a higher plan, so I have 20 gigs of data. Because my internet situation, I needed a phone with a lot of internet. So I got 20 gigs of data from my phone. The phone itself was actually free, so I am locked into a 2-year contract, but I plan to stay that long. But my phone was free, so I don't have to pay like $700 for this Galaxy S. And my data plan is what's actually costing me. So I pay $85 a month, like 85,000 yen. But that's all pretty much data. The phone line itself is only $20. So if you get low data, like 5 gigs, your bill could be $35.
Yeah.
Yeah, SIM cards are definitely the way to go if you're lucky enough to have a phone that works with them. Because if you plan to do that and you show up with a phone that doesn't work, you're gonna have to get a new phone.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt for sure. Yeah, but there's ways to check online. Well, it seems like you checked and you said yours should work and that it didn't. Okay. Laura, do you have anything to add about this on this point?
My own experience, I talked to people who are currently living here, and they were like, "Yeah, SIM cards, we don't have that option here, unfortunately."
Okay.
Yeah, so like AU is the main carrier for this area. So I wanted a cell phone as well, so I just went ahead and did the 2-year plan. I knew I'd be staying for that long as well, and it is expensive. It can be expensive, but I'm also very happy with my service. I haven't had any issues with it. So I just, my recommendation is to just talk to people in your area and see what's available, because some areas don't always have the SIM card option. But then they might also, like, there might just not be people there who have tried it before. In fact, I've had some current people ask me about it who are coming to like Yamanashi, and I'm like, I honestly don't know, just because nobody's ever tried it before. So it might just be worth trying and like spending that $30 up front. And then, you know, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And then you can just go ahead and get a new phone. So
there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's some thoughts about it. Obviously, every situation is different. Not everything is best for everyone. I think if you're going for a short term, especially if you're planning on being 1 year, it's like SIM card is your only option, or you're going to be wasting money on the cancellation of 2-year contract, right? I mean, that's just how it goes, right? So if you obviously you get more in your packet about that, so check that one out. But there's other options too. You can find them all over the internet. But this one is the good thing about this one that Jet is putting in your packet here is because it's comes from your bank account and you're already everyone can get it, and it's just like there's no credit card needed from your home country, so you get to worry about that. It's not like that. Okay, so next question is let's go for predecessor talk, right? So did anyone have anything they want to talk about their predecessor, any difficult situations, or was it all smooth for you guys?
Not super smooth, actually.
Okay, let's get to that one then.
I mean, it wasn't bad. I mean, my pred is a very nice person and everything, but in general, predecessors are very busy at this time, very stressed out. So they're dealing with all the stuff of trying to leave at the same time as everybody who's coming in is trying to come in. So sometimes they're not as communicative as you would like. And in the case of my predecessor, there were just some things that went missing in our talks about like how school went and just the situation. We didn't know what the apartment situation would be because it was a weird situation with our city where my apartment had been empty for 2 years and they didn't know if I'd be here or in her apartment. It was a mess. And then also just a little bit, she kind of wanted a lot of money for her stuff. And I didn't have the money to pay it. So, but she, in the other hand, she was very helpful with like telling me about the area and like what was available here. And she did give me some info about my schools and stuff. I think I could have been more proactive about asking her things, but at the time I just didn't know what to ask.
How about let me get a little bit more, if you don't mind. Let me get a little bit more in there. So how does that go when she goes, here's my TV, I want, let's say, $500 for it. How does that conversation go when you say no? It's not an easy no, right? It's not like, okay, sure. It's not like that, right?
No, it's not an easy no. It's not like, what my friend did was actually she sent me pictures of like all of her stuff and was like, here's my stuff and here's how much I want for all of it. And you can sort of pick and choose what you want. But obviously there were things that I didn't want or maybe just wanted new things of my own. So yeah, like for example, her car. In my city, all of us have to drive to our schools.
Yeah.
So, my pred wanted $2,000 for her car. $2,000 was all I had. So I was obviously like, I can't do it. I can't buy your car. I'm so sorry. And, there was a little back and forth about that. It was a little bit awkward, but in the end, I had to be like, I just don't have the money. I just don't have the money. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I just don't have the money.
Okay. So then she kind of came, I guess she came around at that point. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Kevin, how about you?
I actually got kind of lucky with my predecessor. He was very nice. He contacted me first through an email. He's like, hey, what's up, man? You're going to be replacing me, blah, blah, blah. If you have any questions, go ahead and shoot them my way, right? But I already had a pre-made list of things I wanted to ask him. So I just sent him a bunch of stuff. Obviously be professional, be very nice, be respectful. Keep in mind that they're super busy because they're planning to leave the country. But thankfully he was very nice and very open about answering everything. Asked him questions from living situation to furniture to teachers at schools, some particular potential problem students, things of that sort. He didn't try to sell anything to me, so it was really nice. My apartment was furnished, and all the furniture is listed on the contract. So I think that helps because no one's going to try to sell you something that is in the contract. Yeah, I asked him about a car. No one in my city has a car. Everyone just kind of gets around in a bike, which I highly recommend if you don't have a bike to absolutely get one right away. I don't know what I would do without a bike. But yeah, no, everything was really nice. He was very open about answering things. I was obviously very professional about asking all sorts of questions, and I always thanked him. And every time I thought of something new that I was curious about, I would send him an email. So yeah, definitely from the get-go, try to establish a good relationship with your predecessor, and obviously thank him and be appreciative of the time he or she is putting into answering all your questions. But yeah, I was pretty fortunate with my predecessor in that sense.
Yeah, I would add. Obviously, when you have a lot of questions, you try. It's the nice thing you can do is put them in one email, right? Not like, oh, I thought of a question. Okay, 2 hours later, I thought of another question. Here's another email. They're really busy, like you said. So try to think of a question you want to ask and put them in a group. Make something takes away that's much less time than every day having a new question, right? Now, Rachel, you had no predecessor, so what do you think of the benefits of that or downsides of that?
So in a sense, I didn't have a predecessor. So the last person was an actual full-time teacher. And he didn't want to quit. So they had a 3-year maximum for him because they didn't want to give him a tenure, be a full-time worker. So he's still in my city, so I can talk with him. But it's definitely a total different situation. He has his own home, so I didn't have a home to take over. He wasn't selling any of his stuff. He is, now he's not even teaching the same he's not teaching high school. So he really doesn't have the same situations going on. And I didn't even know he existed until after I got here. So for the whole time, I thought I had nobody to ask questions to.
Mm-hmm.
So just because you don't have a JET predecessor, you could have someone who worked with Interac or somebody who was, freelance on their own teaching. And they could still be in your city like mine was. But it's nice because, they don't really know what to do with you. So you kind of get a little bit of free reign. For me, they were surprised when I said that, I can only work a set amount of hours a week because I'm their first JET. So it does become a difficulty when you kind of have to set the boundaries for them because they've never had a JET before. So we can work weekends, but they have to give us time off. We can help out after school with clubs, but, we maybe need to have, those hours made up for some other time. They can't abuse us.
Yeah, that can be tough, right? Because you are setting what a JET is for the school, right? So
yeah,
it's you can be an awesome JET, right? But then that's what you're setting the bar, right? So instead of being, wow, this JET's awesome, that person's being a JET, right? So you got to think, you got to be smart there, guys. If you be I'm A+ JET every day after school till 5 o'clock, they'll think that's what a JET does. So when next week you're not feeling so great and you go home at 4:30 every day, why'd you leave 30 minutes early yesterday, Mr. Guzman? Right? So you got to be smart about it. So don't you want to, of course, be a great JET, be part of your school, but don't every day go to 99 because then every day if you don't go 99, you might have a why aren't you going 99 questions. Anything else you want to say about that, anybody? If you don't have a predecessor, of course. If you don't have a predecessor, then you're comparing against them anyway. So sometimes if you have a bad predecessor, which happens, you could be doing what you think is normal. They're like, wow, this is the best JET we ever had. Or you might have a go to 100 JET predecessor that when you're doing what you think is a lot of work, that JET did that, before lunch. So you got it can be obviously every situation is different. Anyone else have any thoughts to add before we close the predecessor talk?
be aware that you might get called by your pred's name for a while.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Or even like if your JT, like my JT had just got there like at the same time I did, so she had a different ALT than the one at my school. So she would call me by my other like a different pred's name.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also by my pred's name. She had her like for 4 months, so I got called by 2 names for a while.
Yeah, you just you will be compared in every way to that person, right? So like, oh, your Japanese is not as good as that. Wow, that sucks, or something. Just get over it, right?
Yeah, just don't sit there and play the comparison game. Just do you. Just do you.
Yeah. You're there to be you, so don't kind of worry about the other person before you. It's already 12:40. It's already. Would you Guzzie talk?
I guess I'll just say one thing about the pred. So definitely about expectations regarding your previous, jet person. Like, don't worry about that. So, for example, my predecessor was N1 level Japanese. Okay?
Yeah.
So his Japanese was, and it is absolutely insane. So, and I don't really speak Japanese, so at the very beginning, all my JTEs are just coming up to me and just talking Japanese, blah 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 blah, and I just pick up like one word, and I'm like, oh god, I don't understand. So I just had to do my best to kind of on that front. But he also never stayed after school, and I've stayed after school a couple of times. About clubs too. So if you want to join clubs, and if you don't want to be a slave to your club, make sure from the very beginning you say, hey, I only want to do a couple of days a week or something like that. Because if you join a club, it's going to seem a little disrespectful if you only show up kind of every once in a while whenever you want. But if you say, hey, I only want to do these days or maybe once a week, do that. Because that's what I'm doing with my school soccer club. And I started with only 2 days, but now I'm just kind of going whenever I want, like once a week or something. So yeah, make sure you do that, but definitely don't worry about your predecessor's like shadow. Like don't get caught in that. Just do your best. Do your best, and that's all you can really do.
Yeah, and be careful about using the word join with clubs too, because then when you say join, some teachers might take it like, okay, you want to join. So then I'll see you on Saturday. I'll see you on Sunday for the game. So you got to be careful about that. And pick your spots. 2 days a week is a good time. Any more than that, and you might start getting expectations up. But yeah, if you get it to a point where, it's someone in the chat, I can say a different person here. Chicken Arla came to the club today. Great, cool. That's not they don't expect the next day. She came today. Let's have fun. That's it. That's what you want. That's the atmosphere you want. Unless you want to do that, which some Jets do want to be a real coach, and they take a lot of time and they make that a real thing, and that's cool too. But just only do that if you want to do that. Right? You don't want to set yourself up for like, he came 3 days. He came 3 days last week. This week he only came 1 week. What's going on? Anyways, okay. So that's kind of, let's see, orientation. Is that the strongest of topics? I don't know. I guess anyone have any outstanding thoughts about orientation, things they wish they knew to make it better? You guys are a little different though, because you were early departure. So maybe Laura, anything you want to say like would have made your time a little bit better? Some kind of secret advice there. Orientation. What should people expect? Anything quick?
I mean, just really, I think some people get in the mindset that they need to go out and explore Tokyo. But if you get to Tokyo and you are just dead, do not feel like you have to go out. Like I think some people in my year, and probably every year as well, they just want to go out and like go hard, and maybe you won't be able to come back to Tokyo for a while. If that's what you want to do, that's you. But again, if you're that person who's just like, I'm dead, I'm jet lagged, I need some sleep, I can't do it, just do you. It's just my advice is you do you. Don't feel like you have to go out and explore Tokyo during orientation time. You can go out and explore Shinjuku, just like right outside the door, and that's fine. But if you're that person who wants to go out, go for it. Live your best life.
Yeah. Some people, if you think you're out being in Japan for a year or something, this is your time to enjoy Tokyo. Yeah, enjoy Tokyo, but just don't be stupid and be so up the next day drunk or anything either.
Yeah, that too.
Okay. Any other thoughts there, Guzzie? Pommes frites?
I'll say something. Yeah. So I disagree with what Laura said. I think you should definitely go out and explore Tokyo, especially if you're gonna be far away from Tokyo. Okay. So I'm like at 3 hour Shinkansen right away from Tokyo. So I definitely wanted to see Tokyo. So I did, and I was a little tired some of the days, but whatever. I dealt with it.
Mhm.
Orientation itself is going to be pretty conveyor belt style, so you're just going to get put into a room and you're going to sit through lectures. And the first day is really pretty boring. I'm not going to lie. The second day, so the first day is Monday. It's going to be boring. The second day was a little more fun because you actually get to see some like games and activities that you can play with your students. So that to me was actually very interesting. And I wrote some stuff down, and they'll give you some pamphlets that you can keep with you and bring with you to your school. And the day I do want to talk about is Wednesday. Okay, so Wednesday is the day you leave, and depending on what time you leave and how you leave, you may leave through Tokyo rush hour, and that is going to be the freaking worst ever. Okay, so I got there in April, and the temperature was really nice. Okay, but if you're getting there in late July and August with rush hour traffic, a million people in the train system, it's gonna suck. Okay, so if you can like somehow put your jacket or whatever in a bag or something, like try not to wear your jacket through Tokyo rush hour, because that is absolutely the worst. And I'm like thinking of like people that have to leave with multiple people with them. So because I was early departure, I was the only Shiga jet. So it was just me and a really nice lady that came to pick me up. And I almost lost her. And it was just me. I almost lost her with all the people around. So make sure you're like really close to whoever you're following, to like a bus, a train, to go to the airport or whatever. But yeah, try to be as comfortable as possible on that day, because it's gonna suck. That was bad.
Yeah,
that was really bad.
It was hot. It's always hot in Tokyo in the summer. It's really humid and muggy. So yeah, like until you actually get to your placement, I say like try not to wear your suit jacket, because you're gonna sweat.
Oh yeah. Rachel, anything there?
Yeah. So you get to choose what you want to bring to the hotel. Obviously, you need to bring the bag with your suits in it. And maybe bring more than one pair of shoes, because if one starts to hurt, you've got 3 days to wear it. But maybe don't bring one of those big roller suitcases. Just bring your carry-on and like your personal item, because if you have to walk to the station, so with my people who picked me up, I had to walk like almost 2 kilometers to the train, get on the train, bring all my stuff with me, rush hour, of course, it's in the morning. And then you have to take a Shinkansen. So where are you going to put your big bags if there's no space? So definitely just try to stick with your carry-on. Don't bring the big bag just because you can.
Yeah. I would say it's kind of for me, yes, it can be tough. That was like a magical, I wasn't a jet, right? But I was still got that pick me up from the airport, go to your new life city. And that was just a magical time. You'll never forget that ride, because it's so like, it's just a whirlwind of stuff, and you're like years later, like I remember this place, and I like, oh yeah, that's when I came here the first time, and it's a really cool memory to enjoy looking around. Just obviously enjoy your first time in Japan if it is. So have fun with it. International license. Talk about that. It's a good. People say online it's a good idea. I didn't have that. I wish I did have that. Did anyone here have an international license or anyone driving? Us? It's a good question. Talk about driving a little bit. Start with you, Kevin here.
No, so I'm not driving, and nobody in my city has a car. Although out of all the jets, so there's 9 jets in my city, and out of all of them, I'm the farthest away from like the station or whatever. So that a lot of them have said, hey, yeah, out of anyone here, I think if anyone's gonna have a car, you should have it. But I don't have it. I can get away just fine with a bike. I am thinking of getting like a scooter license or anything like that. But yeah, definitely not a car.
Okay. Laura, how about you?
Yes, I do have a car, and I did get an international license. And I think if you're gonna live in the Inaka and things are not really within walking distance, it can be very helpful. And then or if you want to take trips, you can rent cars here in Japan. And so if you have the international driving permit, then that can be helpful. Yeah, from my city, we're required to have cars because we live so far away from our schools that we have to drive. They're not within biking or walking distance. So I knew immediately that I had to have my international permit and get a car. And it makes it a lot easier to get around, basically. Just you have that option.
Yeah. How about you, Rachel?
So I don't drive even back at home, so it wasn't an option at all for me.
Okay.
On my placement, I did tell them I want somewhere I don't have to drive. But of course, they won't guarantee you that at all. But they do try to accommodate you. So I would probably be okay in my placement as long as I get a bike. I still don't have one. But my walk to school is only like 1 kilometer. And my nearest grocery store is about 1 kilometer. But getting to the train station is like almost 3 miles. So it's either beg a ride from someone with a car or, just go through that walk. So if you can drive, go ahead and just tell them you can, because it doesn't hurt. It only helps you. They're going to give you a placement whether you can get there
Yeah.
or not. Like if you have to take an hour-long train some weeks, then sometimes you take an hour-long train.
Yeah.
So if you can drive, it's definitely like it helps.
Yeah, no. So about the international license, the good part about that is it saves you from taking the test in Japan, which is difficult for me. Little secret here, guys. It took me 9 times to pass the test here, the driver's test.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
And there was sometimes that I thought I was like, that was perfect, right? But it wasn't. So no, like the test is insane, right? And it's like they test crazy stuff about where you're looking and stuff. So it's not like the American test, like, okay, do this and you're good. They're checking where you're looking and stuff, and it's like this stupid rules. Like you got to check. I didn't check under the car before I left, right? So there could have been something under there. You kidding me? You got to check that shit. You got to check that. So Lori, something you have something to say there too. Go ahead, Lori.
I've done the test, so I totally understand what you're talking about. It's not like, okay, so for people who don't know, if you're from America at least, your international permit only lasts for a year from the date that you have it set up. So if you're going to be in Japan for longer than that, you have to take the Japanese driving test, and it's different for foreigners. At least in my prefecture, it's different for foreigners than it is for Japanese people. It's not as intense, but it's still intense to the point where it's like, this is not practical driving whatsoever, because I still remember. It's basically like memorizing a dance. It's how I do it. I passed on the first time.
Oh.
I did. I took the philosophy of pass or die, though. Like I was like, I'm gonna pass it or I'm not gonna do anything. So yeah.
I think I went in there too, all guns blazing, and I got the same guy every single time. So then he kind of took it as like a teaching opportunities. He's like, well, you got that part better, but you still didn't do that good. Come on.
No, they will take points off and fail you for like the smallest thing. So I don't think that you did anything bad. It's just stupid. It can be really dumb.
Well, the first time I couldn't. The first time was my fault. I couldn't figure out because I'm used to the American side of driving, right? So I'm like, okay, let me turn the turn signal on. I turn the turn signal on, and then like wipers start going. I was like, oh crap! He's like, just turn off. He's like, all right, we're done.
I do that sometimes, though. I still do that.
He's like, okay, we're done. I was like, okay. So I guess we talked about the airport stuff. Because let's kind of call this the midpoint of stuff. Let's get to kind of stuff after you get to your schools here. So if anyone has any questions, let's take it like a 3-minute break. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to let them fly in the chat here, and I'll be back in like 2 or 3 minutes. Okay. Let me change this image here, and let your questions fly, guys. 1 second.
Ask away, people.
Yeah. Guzzie's on the case.
We'll probably have to wait like 30 seconds.
I know. I'm already back. All right, guys. So
I can get on here actually. My internet's really weird, and like I don't know if I can be on YouTube and on this call at the same time.
Oh yeah.
I know. I had to like bring it up on my phone so I can participate.
Maybe I should do that.
Mine's just fine.
Okay, Kevin.
Okay.
Oh, speaking of internet, so I still don't have internet, and I'm on my 3rd month in my placement. So I have a little tower now that I received last week. So I went with SoftBank, and it just happened to be a pain in the ass up here in Iwate to use SoftBank. So from my arrival April 7th until now, my planned internet day is July 17th. That's just tentative. So if you need to, like, I paid for extra data on my phone, so it was definitely worth it to do that. So that sucked.
Okay, so I'll read some of these questions for you guys. So the first one, do you have to get a prescription or see a doctor for basic meds, painkillers, cold, flu, etc.? Have any of you guys done that?
Yeah, I did it twice. So the first time I was in Japan, there is like a little Kusuri medicine store that you can go to. There's probably one in your town. And you know, you can get little things, multivitamins. There's some stuff that says it's for your cold, but it doesn't do anything. I swear it's placebo. But I just went to the doctor Thursday, and the medicine they gave me is actually working. So if you want medicine that's going to work, you have to go to the doctor. Like over the counter here just really does not do anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about how much is Airism shirts from Uniqlo? And I think you might be able to Google that because I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, you
I
can
have
go to
no idea.
Uniqlo's website. I think like, okay, so like the basic, I was just at Uniqlo the other day. The basic like tank tops and like shirts can run around 1,000 yen each. Or yeah, they're pretty cheap, I'd say, but you know, might be higher or lower than your home country. That and Heat Tech, they run about, I'd say shirts run about 1,000 yen each, roughly.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll say that. We'll say seinen. Yeah.
Okay. Do you wear face masks when you're ill? I got kind of a little bit sick when I was here, and I did have to wear a face mask. But the one thing you got to consider, especially as an ALT, is that the students kind of look at you, and if you're kind of helping with pronunciation and reading things, it helps them a lot to not only hear you but also look at your mouth when you move your mouth, especially for sounds like th sounds like 13, 3, that kind of stuff. So what I would do is every time I would be reading something or saying something, I would just move my mask off my face and then just put it back out whenever I was done speaking. So yes, you can definitely wear masks. Just be mindful of that, and you should be all set.
Yeah, Go ahead, Rachel. You're supposed to, but I hate it, so I never did because I can't breathe. But you're supposed to.
Yeah,
I know I should. Yeah.
Speaking of masks, your students will wear masks in your English class, which is kind of like a huge pain in the ass because you can't hear them normally, and like some of them are shy, and if they're wearing a mask, you have no idea what they're saying, if they're pronouncing it right, and they don't really understand when you're like, hey, take off the mask. They're like, but I'm sick, and I'm like, but you're speaking English class, so you need to take it off. So your kids will wear them even if you don't.
Yeah, and it's just a kind of, you're supposed to wear it for sure. I never did just because I hate it so much, but yeah, you're supposed to wear it, so don't think you. Yeah. No one's gonna be like pissed if you don't, though. No one's gonna say like, "Hey, what are you doing?" They might hand you the nurse might hand you a mask and say, "Here you go," you know. So get ready for that.
Oh,
okay, go ahead.
One thing about masks, and I add really quick. If you wear glasses, masks fog up your glasses. But Japan makes this awesome spray that you can spray and wipe on your glasses where they don't fog up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pro tip right there.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah. Okay. So let's keep rolling. We got a lot of questions filling up, and I'm definitely marking all these down, so we'll get them all for sure. We'll get to all these questions. I promise, guys. I see them all coming. I got them. I got a list here. Okay. So after orientation, right? Let's talk about when you first get to school, and your first trip to your school. What happens on that magical time when you first walk into your school? What do you do on that day? Let's go to Rachel first.
So, oh my gosh, my brain I like read someone's question. So the day after orientation, arriving in my city. So I was picked up by an office worker from my school at the Shinkansen stop on the next city over, and he brought me to my school. You do the obligatory meet your principal, and then it was kind of like rushed. He brought me to my apartment. It was totally empty. There was nothing in it. So it was kind of weird because this person didn't speak English. So he just started measuring my windows and like measuring my apartment. And I'm like, what's going on? And instead of like, oh, let me get your luggage or let's get something to eat, he was like, okay, we're going to go shopping. So I bought my futon, my fridge, my curtains, my stove, all in like that later half of the day arriving after Tokyo. And I didn't know anything about my job yet or like who the teachers were at my school. I just knew the principal and like furniture. Later that night, a teacher did come. The head of the department came, and she kind of just threw information at me. So she was like, this is the clubs, this is how your hours are, this is when you stay, this is what you're teaching, these are the type of kids. It was just a lot of information, and you were totally not ready for that much after half the day in Tokyo transit. And then somebody even asked, like, how was your first night? It was awful because, like, even I was like, oh, I'm prepared, I'm ready for jet, but like I was like, damn, I see why some people quit and go home.
Yeah.
It was just rough because you're like all this information, and then they leave you alone, maybe 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. in a building with like nothing in it. You don't know your neighbors, you don't have a phone. So if you can just get over those first 2 or 3 nights by yourself, like you're set. It just goes, it's easy downhill from there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Just you're in a new world and like you're just boom there. And there's nothing. There's kind of the cord is cut, right? Kevin, how about you?
Okay, so before I talk about the apartment, I want to kind of talk about the first few things the first thing you do when you first get there. Okay, so yeah, you will be getting picked up by someone, and you will most likely go to your board of education before you go to your apartment. Okay, and you're gonna be doing a couple of things there. For me, they took me to a grocery store, and I bought some food and stuff, and thankfully my apartment was fully furnished, right? So I didn't. It wasn't like me empty in a room by myself.
Mm.
You were alone, and it does feel a little weird, but that didn't affect me as much. Um, Someone asked something about sleeping, and I didn't have trouble sleeping because I was tired or anything, but because of fucking frogs, man.
Oh yeah.
Frogs in the Inaka, dude. The Inaka. So if I look this way, I have a big window, and it's just like rice fields, and the frogs are so loud at night. I hate frogs. Okay, just because of that, I absolutely hate frogs. They're all dead now, or they're gone, whatever. Because it's like hot, but yeah, they're all gone. But yeah, if you're in the Inaka, don't underestimate the frogs.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, so after you get to your apartment, you get your keys. That's gonna be on Wednesday evening. On Thursday, it's gonna be very kind of step-by-step process. So again, you're gonna go back to your BOE. You will most likely get picked up by someone because you might not know where the BOE is. Um, and you're gonna be going to City Hall to register your residence, right? And after that, you're gonna be most likely going to set up your internet. So you're gonna be going to, in my case, I went to SoftBank. You're gonna be going to your bank to set up your bank account. You're gonna be going to electric and gas place. You're gonna be setting up all those utilities. And depending on your board of education, that's when they want you to get a cell phone. So they're gonna want to take you to like SoftBank or whatever. For me, because I was very adamant from the very beginning that I had a SIM card and I wanted a SIM card, that was kind of bypassed until a different day. So Friday, I got my cell phone.
Mm.
Yeah, and then yeah, you're gonna be going to your BOE. You're gonna be doing an introduction, like my name is whatever, to the people at the BOE. So yeah, that's gonna be a very kind of businessy setting up kind of stuff on Thursday, and the same on Friday as well. So on Friday, I had to go to a different place for a kind of like a mini orientation just for me because I was the only arrival. And then I set up my phone. I went to Kyoto for that, which was actually pretty cool. But yeah, those first 2.5 days that you get to your place is going to be very getting you set up for stuff. So your bank account, your phone, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and hopefully, like you have a cool person taking you to all these places too, because that kind of depends on their personality. Sometimes, like Pommes Frites, you said it sounded like he was he wanted to get down to business. But if you have a cool person, they kind of talk, it's fun. But yeah, how about you, Laura? Anything you want to add here?
Yeah, my experience is pretty much the same. Slightly different. I actually still have my schedule here. But you will get picked up by somebody. We got dropped off. All of us Yamanashi people got dropped off at the Passport Center, and then all of our supervisors were there to get us. And my supervisor actually came with another ALT from my city. We had a sort of senpai system where a second year ALT was sort of like the senpai or like the helper for the incoming ones. So she came with him because he didn't speak any English at all, and I do speak Japanese, but it was very helpful to have her with me as well. And we got there about lunch, so we went and sort of ate lunch first, and then we went to the BOE and got residency set up, got my Honko, my Incon registered, got my residence card registered with the city. And I believe, we went to the BOE to like sort of meet the superintendent and like for him to officially welcome me to Hokuto. And then that day I went and got my cell phone because I really wanted to go ahead and get it. I had no other like contact or any way to contact anybody, so I wanted to go ahead and get that set up. And then the next day was like shopping. I went and met my elementary schools the next day. And then more shopping and just sort of getting set up in my apartment. Oh yeah, the first day I did get my keys to my apartment. We came here very last, where the gas guy came and like set up my gas and everything. Yeah, and also like my apartment, because it had been empty for 2 years, everything was just sort of thrown into here, like things that I bought from my predecessor, and then things that other preds had left, just like given me for free. It was all just like here in my living room right now, like right here where my couch is. This was my bed, was here, hanging out. And I had to sleep in my living room for 2 nights before I could move my bed upstairs with no curtains or anything. So I didn't have trouble sleeping, again, like Guzzie said, but it was just interesting not having curtains for those 2 nights.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like the following days were just like go to my schools and more shopping and stuff. They told me I didn't have to come into work right away, which was really nice. So I was really lucky. And then I lived near other ALTs, so like I had other people around. So in that way, I was really lucky with my situation.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, every situation is different. Obviously, Rachel was kind of by herself there, and Laura had a little bit of a more support group to kind of warm yourself into this new thing. I think it's kind of good there. Anything else? Anything to add there? What can happen your first kind of days? I want to say like about the intro with your schools and principals and stuff like that. Did you guys do that in Japanese, or did you guys do it in English? What do you guys do there?
I did it in Japanese because I really wanted to.
Yeah.
And I speak some Japanese as well, so I tried my best.
Was it like one sentence, or did you do a little paragraph, or how was it?
I did a very basic self-introduction of like, hajimemashite, Rorahaku toshimasu, where I'm from, and just like yoroshiku onegaishimasu, like make sure you yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
Yeah.
Always.
Say that at the end for anything. You're fine.
Yeah.
Guzzie, how about you?
Yeah, I also did it in Japanese the best I could, because like I said, my Japanese is not very good. But what I did, I just kind of rehearsed it, memorized it, and basically very simple. My name is, I'm from wherever, I studied architecture in school, happy to be here, yoroshiku onegaishimasu. So definitely say yoroshiku onegaishimasu at the end.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be insane. And my teachers knew that I didn't speak Japanese, so when I was done, everyone like claps, and it was kind of
this guy's the best, the best.
Really. But yeah, so don't freak out. I was a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie, but it goes by so quick that you don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah. You gotta be nervous, but yeah, it's really nothing. Rachel, how about you? What did you do?
Pretty much the same. So I did do a Japanese one. So like I just know a little bit of Japanese, and don't make it too long. Just be like, my name is, where I'm from, maybe a hobby or how long you've studied, if you've studied Japanese, and then I was like yoroshiku, and then that does it. You really don't have to get complicated. But like my principal did in the middle of our teaching room, like brought me to the middle of the room and had all the teachers surround me to give it. So it was a little intimidating.
That's always weird. But like, it's like, all right, everyone shut up. Here comes a new teacher introduction. It's like, oh my God, we just get this over with. Yeah, it depends on what they do. Okay. So let's talk about your first kind of classes there. Intro lessons. Let's get a little bit, I think this is a deep topic here. Let's get fast here. What did you do for intro lesson? Would you do it differently, Laura? What did you do? Laura?
Me?
Yep.
Okay. For my intro lesson, I had made a PowerPoint, just like a slideshow of a lot of pictures of like my house and my family, things back home from Kentucky, where I'm from. And I did a little bit of a quiz as well. I think if I could change anything, I would make it a little bit more interactive, just so the kids would be more into it, because at least my junior high, I'm thinking my junior high kids were just absolutely silent during the whole thing. And at the end, I asked if anybody had any questions, and there was nothing. Zero questions. My elementary kids were a little bit more into it, and they were a little bit more like, oh, wow, about things. And then at the end, they had a few more questions because they're babies. But yeah, I think if I'd done more of like a little bit more interactive, it might have been a little bit better.
Okay, how about you, Guzzie?
Okay, so pro tip. So talk to your predecessor about your school setup. Okay, so I ended up going with a PowerPoint too because I had spoken with my predecessor about the school's like systems, and we have these things called smart boards, right? So they're just like big screen TVs, and you kind of hook up a laptop to them, and you can do presentations that way. But if your school is kind of on the I don't know, poorer side, I guess, and doesn't have that many things, you may have to print stuff out. Okay, so just kind of be aware of that. So I fully was aware that I had I could give a PowerPoint presentation, so I did, and it was pretty simple. I asked questions while I was doing the presentation, so I wanted to avoid the quiz thing at the end. And my students really liked it. They were very engaged. They were always raising their hands and stuff. They were very excited to meet me. But yeah, definitely see if you can talk to your predecessor about it, and definitely have something ready before you get here. Just especially for early departure, because we get there on a Wednesday, then Thursday, Friday, we have to do a bunch of stuff. Then we only have Saturday, Sunday, right? And then Monday, that's when you give your presentation. If you're a regular arrival, then you will arrive in vacation, so you will have time, maybe some time to do the PowerPoint or anything like that. But I do recommend kind of at least getting something ready before you get here.
Yeah.
Just in case you don't have internet for a while or anything like that, and you can't get pictures or things of that sort.
Yeah, don't make the mistake of having an amazing 20-page PowerPoint and then like, all right, let's go ready for the intro. Let's go, Matthew Houston. And then you're like, all right, here's my PowerPoint, and they're like, what's that? And then you have nothing, right? And that's happened to many people out there. Here's my awesome intro. Let's get to it, Matthew. Here's my PowerPoint file. Okay, and then you have to do everything off the cuff, like, oh, this file had this. I've seen people do that too. It's really sad, Like my first file was my it's like, okay, explaining a PowerPoint is not great. Okay, how about you? Let's go, Pommes Frites. What did you do for your intro?
So, like, to plug you, so James has this like kind of rough for now, but maybe you'll fix it up.
Yeah.
Layout for a PowerPoint that I think me and Kevin both adapted. So making a game out of your PowerPoint is definitely a better way of doing it than just like preaching at them. So before I even started my intro, I was like, hey guys, here's a picture of my face. Now break into groups. And they really didn't understand it at first, but what I let them do is I let them break into groups. I told them, you get to pick a team name. So like, you really want them to think you're fun, even if later on, like, you have to be strict. So yeah. Make it as fun as possible. Let them pick team names if you want. And then what I did is I wouldn't give them the information about me. I would make them guess my information. So maybe I'd put, 4 pictures, and I'd be like, how many brothers and sisters do I have? And it would be pictures of me with other people. And they would guess 1 or 2. In reality, I have none. So if somebody would guess an only child, they would get like points. And at the end of the game, I actually brought American candy for my kids that won. That won't work for everyone. If you have multiple schools, do not do that. There's no way to bring 1,000 pieces of candy with you.
Yeah.
I just have one school, so it worked out.
Yeah, and make sure your school is cool with that too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I was about to say, ask in advance about that.
James, if it's cool, I can post a link to what my PowerPoint looks like in the chat.
Oh yeah, definitely, please do. Yeah, well, that seems cool. Yeah, so like Rachel said, what I recommend is I want it to be hyper interactive, right? So everything, in the opposite of saying like, hey, this is me, blah 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 blah, when they don't know, instead of that, say, okay, first even start with what's my name, and then give 4 choices, and then the next choice say what's my favorite animal, and of course every step of the way you can make stuff as funny as possible, right? So you can have a picture of a cockroach up there, a picture of a crazy cat meme, a picture of what's my favorite animal, and they're in groups, and you say, okay, what did you think? What do you think? What do you think? So every single step of the way is asking a question with an easy answer, so they are encouraged to say something, right? Because if you just say like, all right, any questions? A lot of classes, it's just silence when you do that. So if you have 4 choices that are concrete and everyone knows and they're funny, and every step of the way you're asking questions about yourself instead of saying like, this is me, right? So what's my favorite sport? You can have a picture of someone, competitive eating. That's always a laugh. You can have a picture of football. You can have crazy as you want it to be, right? And of course, like Rachel, a great idea. What's the team names? You make the team names. Someone will always choose team your name, by the way. Usually, Team James.
I had a lot of team.
Yeah, team is good. Yeah. So yeah, just you want hyper interactivity because there's such normalcy to the here's a presentation, let's ask questions about me, but that shouldn't be the normal. I think the whole step, every way you, like Rich said, this is where people think about you. This is where people decide so many things about you. It's insane, right? So many things about you decide in your first class. So if you make that as fun as possible, even if you got to go downhill after that, you set the bar so high that, like, wow, cool, this last class, I know Pommes Frites is fun. And so I can't wait for the next class. You know, that's what you want to do there. It's easier said than done. And your first one will not be as good as your fourth one, of course, because as you get going, you get better with it. But yeah, definitely. Rachel put the link there, and I'll kind of I should make a post about that too, and like the intro game I do. But yeah, that's just interactivity is key, right, guys? Remember that. So let's kind of talk about one topic that's not talked about enough, right? It's like your interaction with JTs, like, right? So like some people say like, well, this JT sucks, they don't want to talk to me, this JT is great, but how much can you really affect that your relationships with JTs, right? Is there something, is this just every situation is different, or can you have an actual effect? So Laura, how about you? What's your relationship with your JTs, and how do you guys work together?
So at first, when I first got there, I had no idea what to do. And my main JTE is someone who wasn't super communicative at first. And I also at first was very shy. I was just very like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to ask about things. So I basically just stood in class and just did what she told me to do. And then gradually as I went on, I learned, okay, here's some things that I can do in class that will make class more interesting, or here's things that I can do to help her. And then, I talked to her gradually about doing games in class, and like doing special activities days. Maybe if the kids have just finished testing and she's like, they're not going to want to do class, let's do activity day. So, we've built a relationship of like a mutual trust of like, she knows how I operate in class, and I know how she operates in class. And then I got another JTE who came in, and she does things a totally different way. So I had to like gradually learn how to work with her as well. But we have good relationships, and I think it's it can be very much on the ALT to sort of build that relationship, because JTEs are going off perhaps your predecessor form ALTs that they've had before, and maybe they had a good experience or an awesome experience, or a bad experience. They don't know how you're going to be. They might assume you're going to be the same way. So you can do what you can to be very cooperative and say like, yeah, I want to be in class, I want to help you, and whatever I can do, please let me know. Like be very communicative with your JTE, and I think you can do a lot to try to build that relationship with them, and talk to them outside of class as well. Have a little chat in between classes, or if they're free. That can go a long way toward like building good relationships with your JTEs.
Yeah, definitely. How about you, Guzzie? Anything to add to
that? So definitely be proactive. Okay, so I think that it's on you to build a good relationship with them. So I like to get to my school a little early, like 20 minutes earlier than when everything starts, and I usually use that time to go and talk to the JTEs that I have classes with. So I'll go up to them with the book, and I ask them, hey, blah 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 sensei, what do you have planned for today, right? And then we'll go over the lesson. She'll go over what she wants me to read out loud or whatever, and things of that sort. I'm also kind of lucky in the fact that I kind of have the 3 levels of like ALT activity. So there's like 100% tape recorder ALT, yep. Right? Then there's the hey, you get 15 minutes lesson ALT, and then I get the full class a lot less. Maybe a couple of times has happened. But so I have kind of the whole spectrum of levels of what the activities that you'll be doing. So I like to talk to my JTEs as much as I can before and after classes, and even if I don't have classes with them the next day after classes, and I have a free period, I'll talk to them about what they might have planned. And they always come up to me if they want me to make like a worksheet. I end up making a lot of worksheets for lessons and activities. So definitely make it a point to talk to them, even if it's just like a tiny 1 minute conversation. Definitely, it's all on you to do that.
How about you, Rachel?
So I do teach my classes always, like the full period is always mine. But even, I guess, despite that, there's not that much communication between me and my JTEs. So the one I work with the most is only a part-time worker. So unless she is there to teach class, she's not there. So there's no time to interact with them and like lesson plan. It's just, okay, so what am I teaching today? I've got 20 minutes. Let's plan it, make a worksheet. Let's go. For my other JTEs, some of them I only teach one class with, so they don't really have much interaction with me at all anyway. And it's always kind of a 15-minute before class. Like, there's really not much I can do beforehand until they've kind of told me for the day what we're doing. If you have a textbook for your classes, you're lucky. Like, you can just pull something out of the page or like use a game that'll, fit that chapter. Some of my classes don't have anything like that, so it's kind of like free range chicken. Like some of my JTEs, they're just there to be in the classroom, maybe to walk around and make sure people don't sleep. So like you definitely want them to like you, and you definitely want them to be active in class, because if they're just, not doing anything, the students are going to know that and kind of walk all over you. So even if the JT isn't helping you teach, if you can just make sure that they're there to help you translate or walk around, it's definitely like good. So you can definitely ask them like, hey, I need you to be more active.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to say that. If they've repeatedly shown that they don't do anything, no matter what happens, it's okay to say, hey, can you help me out a little bit here? I need your help. And if that doesn't work, then you got to go to the next level, which it can create an awkwardness, right? Because the principal, the person in charge of English talks to that person, and they know you said something right.
Yeah.
But still, you don't want to deal with that kind of crap the whole year, right? When the teacher's like, okay, I'm shutting off because the ALT teacher's there now. You don't want to deal with that, right? So sometimes you got to do a tough talk to get past that. And sometimes, like you said, there is like part-time teachers that teach English, right? So that means there's a class that day, they come 5 minutes before that, and they leave 5 minutes after it. So then, if that's the case, you can't really do this kind of relationship building as much, right? You got to just work with what you got. So obviously, every situation is different, but like you guys said, the talking to your JTs is important, and sometimes different JTs work differently. Sometimes you have to be the one that goes to them first and says, "Hey, what about this? What about this?" Other times you have dream ones that says, here's what we're doing today, and here's what I want you to do, and that's fine. That's great too. But cat. So yeah, every situation is different. Just keep that in mind. JTs, don't just let it be all passive. Like, this is what my JTs are, and that's it, right? You got to do a little bit of action sometimes. Be strong about that, guys. Okay. Okay. So I think let's go to question and answer. Right. I don't think there's anything that extraordinary. So question and answer, guys. Let them go. I'll get through the ones we already started with. There's a few in the list here. Let me get that beautiful Q&A graphic here up. Okay, so let's get to the ones that start oldest ones first, obviously. I guess I'll try to ask one of you each of these questions, so we don't have 3 answers for each one. That'll take 4 hours. So okay, so let's start with you, Guzzie. No, Laura, sorry, I can start with you, Laura. This is kind of off your speech there. There's good and bad days, right? What does an absolute nightmare scenario look like? Let's say in class, and how do you go about handling a nightmare class?
Okay. So an absolute nightmare scenario in class, and I'm gonna go with elementary school because I'm in charge of that. It would be where the homeroom teacher is not there at all to help me with class. Everyone's up running around, not listening. People are like, kids are getting in fights, and maybe there's a teacher there, like a helper, an assistant or something, but they're not doing anything to break those up or make the kids sit down. You're up there either trying to do vocab and flashcards, but the kids are just not listening and they're talking, and class just doesn't go well. You try to do the game, and again, kids are just messing around. In my head, I'm picturing like smaller kids, but it can also happen with bigger kids. I think that's probably a scenario. I have had a very bad class actually that was very similar to that, where there was one boy who actually was a special needs student, and he got very angry right before we started class, and he just basically did all of that throughout almost the whole class. And I had maybe like 10 kids in the class just being like, Laura Sensei, we want to do the game, But because there were other children, like the other half of the class was just misbehaving, and just this one boy was being very disruptive. It was just like a nightmare, absolute nightmare class. There was just, and then the teacher, the homeroom teacher was there, but she wasn't. She was trying to deal with that, so I didn't really have any help to like help with the actual class. Yeah, that I think that was my nightmare scenario.
Okay, I said I wouldn't ask anyone else, but let's because you guys are new Jets, so you can't have something too bad, right? So how about you, Guzzie or Rachel? Anything bad?
I will say something, and I 100% agree with what Laura said. So I think so. My second years are like the worst behaved. I mean, all my students are pretty well behaved, but something about second years that something happens because they're not like the first, the newbies of the school, and they're not the guys going ready to go to high school. So something happens to second years where they just go kind of crazy. So my second years are the ones that will be kind of loud. So far all my classes have been really nice, but the one time where they do get a little out of hand is when they will just be talking the entire class. And I kind of feel a little bit bad for my JTE, that's my second year JTE, because sometimes they'll talk over her and they won't listen to her at all. But whenever I get to talk, they do listen to me. And that's probably because I just play games with them, right? So they like want to play games with me. But the transition time from when she's talking into where I begin to do the talking can be a little tricky just because they're kind of blah, 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 talking. So usually what I like to do is I like to kind of be loud and then don't say anything. And then they usually look at me and they realize that, oh, Kevin Sensei is not going to say anything unless we stop talking. And then so they'll slowly start to quiet down, and then we start the activity. So just keep calm, try to handle it as best as you can. But yeah, students talking and kind of yelling across, the aisles to their buddy that's sitting on seat 30 or whatever, that can be a little bit annoying sometimes.
Okay, Rachel, how about you?
So mine's with schoolers. So if I've tried that, let's just be quiet and like they'll notice. They don't care, so they'll just have their own side conversations. Because they've been separated at this point. Like these people are, they grew up together in rural Yanaka areas. They've known each other their whole lives. They're all friends. But I don't really have nightmare classes. I'm lucky that my JTEs are rather strict. So they're listened to pretty well. The only person that I can have problems with is when my part-time teacher is there. She's really fun and, she's nice, but she kind of undermines the class by speaking Japanese to them. So like I will explain something in English, very simple, that we've done before, and she will literally repeat word for word in Japanese, and then sometimes more than what I said. So they don't even need to listen to me at all. They'll just listen to her.
Yeah.
So it's not a nightmare situation. It's just something you have to get over. And I just have to deal with it.
Yeah, like you could say something, even if those kind of teachers, you could say like, hey, better maybe not try to speak Japanese so much. I mean, speak Japanese so much because then people can learn more from me. But then sometimes they still do it. Some people they have their kind of ways, and that's it, So So I think so nothing too bad for all three of us here. For me, the worst I ever had was a class where like a real legit fight where like it was like multiple people and they're in junior high school and there's blood and stuff at places. That was the worst class I ever had. But that still was a one incident and it was over in like 5 minutes because like the security guard came in and just like jumped on everybody and it was over. But yeah, I think the worst nightmare is class that don't care, right? That's the one I think is the worst because you can't play games because they don't care. You can't do worksheets because they don't care and they don't do it. That's the ones that take the most work as a teacher to make stuff happen because there's some classes that are so nothing fun's going to happen in my school life. So I'm going to sit here no matter what, 45 minutes. So let's just, I'll do nothing 45 minutes and that'll be fine. Those are the hardest ones. Hopefully you don't get any of those. Okay, let's get, so how about you guys, what did you guys do with your, I'll ask you, Guzzie here, your big bag, when you got placement, when you got to the training, you had many bags, but you didn't take all those bags with you in the commute to Tokyo, right? So what did you do with those big bags?
So when you get to the airport, right? You're going to go through, immigration, customs, all that stuff. And then you're going to be waiting for your luggage to roll around. And then you're going to make your way kind of past the airport. And there's going to be like just someone with a jet sign there. It might be a little bit more. There might be more people with jet signs when the main groups come in. For early departure, there wasn't that many. But you will be taken to like this baggage transportation service, and then you give them your 2 bags, okay? And they will take those bags to your BOE. And I mean, you can decline that service, but I absolutely highly recommend you take it, because you do not want to be having a 100-pound bag here, 100-pound bag here, you carry on, and a backpack at all. Like, you don't want that. So you will. It's gonna be pretty. Like, you will be taken to the spot, so you don't have to worry about it then. And then all they have to do is they're gonna take your jet number. So everyone by now should have a jet number, and with that jet number, they're gonna be able to associate you with what prefecture and what BOE your bag should be going to. So you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, every airport has a different system of doing that, and you can't miss it. They don't let you just not do it, so don't worry about it too much. It's not a big deal. How about what do you guys do for transfer money home? I know everyone has different ways. How about I'll go with you, Laura. How do you do that?
I signed up for GoRemit. First, I started using Japan Post Bank, but it was just too much trouble to have to get there before 4:30, like between the time I left school, and then you have to get there before 4:30 in order to do it, because that's when they close.
Yep.
And it's also slightly more expensive through Japan Post Bank. It takes a little bit longer to get into my American bank account. So I signed up for GoRemit. I heard TransferWise is also very good. And it's so easy because they basically GoRemit sets you up with a Mitsui Sumitomo bank account, and you can, if you have a local bank account like I do, or just a different bank account, then you can go through the ATM and do what's called a furikomi, which is a money transfer with your card. And it's really simple. It's really easy. You can tell them how much you want to send to that Mitsui Sumitomo bank account, and then like the next day, or even that day, I guess if you do it early enough, Mitsui Sumitomo will send it to your home country's bank account, and then in the mail they'll send you a little card that says GoRemit, and it'll tell you how much it was, and like how much the transfer fee was, how much the exchange rate and everything was. And it's really simple, and it's really fast. I think my money gets in like within a couple of days, whereas before it took like a week to do. So I highly recommend doing a service like that, and it's also cheaper. Yeah. I think it's around 2,000 yen per transfer. One thing to be aware of, though, if you want to transfer money, is that your home bank may charge you fees to accept the money. My home bank charges me around $20 just to accept a wire transfer. So I am losing some money in that way. But in the end, I mean, that's all I can do.
Yeah, I use GoRemit too. And one thing to keep in mind, guys, is if you don't have to, I know some people like to because they think every month I want to send this much money. But if you do that, you are losing money. But if you save, let's say I want to send money every 4 months, you don't spend as much, right? So I know sometimes it's helpful mentally to I want to send $200 every month, right? But if you save it for 6 months and then just send $1,200, it's the same thing, and you save money. So keep that in mind, right? Don't just every month do it because you want to do it,
Yeah.
Guzzie, what are you using? And Rachel, how about you too? Guzzie first.
I actually haven't sent anything home yet, so I'm just my bank is just getting filled up with money.
He's spending it. He's spending it, guys. He has nothing left. All right, Rachel, how about you?
So I will be maybe looking into something like that in the future. I'll let you guys know.
Yeah. Rachel, how about you?
Yeah, so I haven't sent anything home either. Before I left, I made sure my bank account is automatically set up. I kept like $2,000 in my bank account, and that pays off any debts I have at home. So I don't need to send anything right away. I'll probably look into, I know I've heard of the TransferWise and then the one you guys mentioned. But yeah, it's just kind of accumulating, and you should not have no money or you're going too hard. Because I easily save $1,400 every month. So if you have $0, where's your Lamborghini? Because that's a lot of money to spend.
Yeah, the jet program salary is a fine salary. Depending on where you're living, of course, it goes farther. But yeah, you definitely are making enough money to save something, right? It's key. How about someone said about what? So Rachel, how did you get over that kind of situation? How long did it take you to get over the sleeping situation thing? Did you do any kind of special thing to sleep better? Start drinking or anything? What'd you do?
I did invest in a better futon.
Okay.
So that first day, I got a $30 pad. It was pretty cheap, and then a little foam piece. And anytime I lay on my side, I was touching the floor practically. So they have some nicer ones, but it's definitely an investment. So I didn't know if I wanted to go the futon route or to get an actual bed, because you can get a bed here. If you're lucky enough to be by an IKEA, you could have one from them, or Nitori is really nice. They deliver for like $20. But I ended up getting a $90 futon like foam thing, so it's a lot more comfortable. Yeah, it took like 3 or 4 days before I kind of got a good sleep schedule, because I was so exhausted at the end of every day that first week. I was falling asleep by like 8 p.m. at the latest, and then I'd be waking up with the sunrise, which is like 4:30 here.
Wow.
But it does work itself out. Like, it just takes time.
Yeah. Okay, let's let that one go. How about what do you guys wear for indoor shoes at school? It's not a really, for me. It was just I forget what I had, like some kind of. It's not a big deal, basically, is what I want to say. But what do you guys wear?
So this is kind of like the Omiyage, where people kind of make it a bigger deal than it actually is.
Yeah.
So you can literally wear anything. So as long as you keep those shoes at school, right? So I brought a brand new pair of shoes just for that purpose, and I just brought like Nike like trainers, right? So they're really comfy, because you're on your feet a lot, especially if you're like me. You have 5 classes a day, mostly all the time, maybe even 6 some days. So bring something that's going to be comfortable for sure. But again, you can absolutely wear anything, just as long as you keep those in your locker at school, and that's their only purpose.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't freak out about the shoes. It's not a big deal. Just comfort. Go for comfort over anything else.
Yeah. So like even tennis shoes that are for basketball, if they're new and you just wear them there, that's totally fine, right? That's the key point there. A lot of people wear less than that. People wear Crocs, slip-ons, whatever. So it's not a big deal. Laura, how about you as a female point of view?
For me, I brought a pair of black flats, and then that quickly got uncomfortable being on my feet all day.
Yeah.
So I got a pair of Converse that I wear. And actually, I bought another pair. I was carrying them back and forth between my schools, and then that got too annoying. I kept forgetting my shoes everywhere. So I went ahead and bought another pair of sneakers for my other school.
Yeah, I did that
and
too.
And for the winter too, this past winter, because it's so cold, especially like because I'm in the mountains and stuff. I went home and I was like, I need some warm shoes. So I went to Walmart and bought some of those like off-brand Uggs. And like they were, my teachers and everything kept saying like, they look so warm, Laura. And I was like, I know they are. It's amazing. So it was a good investment.
Yeah, I did that too. Definitely have shoes at each school is way easier than bringing it with you, because you just don't forget. Yeah, so don't do that. Rachel, how about you? What do you wear?
I actually have like a lot of shoes at my little cubby at school. I like to match my outfits. Like I actually care. Like nobody at my school is fashionable.
No.
It's all Crocs or like grandma sandals with socks. So they really don't give a crap about what you're wearing. My shoes aren't exactly the most comfortable, but that's like my choice. But I keep like 3 different pairs of shoes. So I have my indoor gym shoes that I keep there. I have a pair of just plain black flats if I need to wear like a suit outfit. And then I have my kind of like cheetah print shoes that I like to wear. So the school should provide you a space to keep them. You don't have to keep them in your desk or anything.
Yeah, you have a place to put them usually. Yeah, so yeah, it's up to you. It's not a big deal. How about have you guys seen the mukade? What's it called? Not centipede. What's it called? A centipede, right? Yeah, centipede. Have you seen one of those? What have you done? In my 10 years in Japan, I've seen 2. So it's not a big deal for me, but how about you, Rachel? I know you've had different situation.
So I'm so lucky there's not been a mukade in my apartment. I don't want to jinx myself, but my apartment's pretty new, so maybe it's like well sealed. But every other ALT in my town has had mukade already, and they have no idea how they're getting in. Some think that they're coming up through their kitchen faucet. So like, good luck stopping them. And I'm pretty far north, so I had assumed that there would be none up here. But my friends in Hokkaido have them as well, so there's no escape.
Yeah. How about you, Laura?
Surprisingly, like where I live, we don't get any mukade, but we do get brown huntsman spiders.
Oh yeah, those are good too.
They're creepy. They're totally harmless, but they're just really big spiders, and I don't like spiders. So yeah, I think I've seen like a couple of mukade, but they were at school or like down in the basin kind of area, like not up here in the mountain, fortunately.
Yeah, so those spiders, for anyone that doesn't know, could be like not. People say as big as your hand. I've never seen one that big. I've seen one big, like half as big as my hand.
It's like this big. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's still bigger than I've ever seen in my life before. When I first saw one, I was like, oh my God, I'm done. All right. Guzzie, how about you? How about you, Guzzie?
Okay, so I haven't had that many issues with bugs yet. The only thing that's really annoyed me so far is the frogs.
The frog issue.
But
Yeah, it's a big problem.
the other day I was doing dishes and I saw this little kind of centipede-looking thing. I didn't think it was a mukade because from what I've heard, they're like much bigger. But it was like right around my sink area. So I just took like a paper towel and just grabbed it and flushed it down the toilet because I've heard that if you like squish it or like step on it or whatever, they like attract more mukade.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know
I've
if
heard that
that's, like,
stories.
I don't know
Yeah.
if that's a rumor or like a myth or
That's
something.
true.
Yeah.
So-
I'm not taking chances here, so I just grabbed it, flushed it down the toilet, and I think that's what you should do. So, yeah. So that's the only bug problem I've had so far.
But warning, like if it's an actual mukade, don't pick it up. It will bite you and
Ugh.
can hurt you. Yeah, don't.
So if
they're,
you're
they're red in color.
Yeah, for anyone's pretty freaked out about it, there's spray you can buy, and then you spray it,
Yeah,
and it's
there's
over,
spray.
right? So just there's a big picture. Yeah.
About there's those giant like hornet wasps of Japan.
Yeah.
Suzumebate.
Yeah.
Suzumebate,
Yes.
yeah.
So they're totally real. And I haven't seen any yet, which I think is pretty lucky, but I guess my area has them. My very first time talking with my JTE, she told me, "Oh yeah, my grandma died," and I was like, "Oh, that's so sad." She's like, "Yeah, she died to the wasps." So they do like you. So watch out.
Yeah, they are real. But yeah, you can buy bug spray for anything. For me, cockroaches were a much bigger problem. I've seen probably 100 cockroaches,
Oh
but
my God.
yeah, those are just.
It might also help that I'm on the second floor of my Leo Palace or whatever, so maybe just the bugs don't get up here
Yeah,
as
there
much.
you go. But they sell things to kill bugs. Don't worry about it. It's not like you're on your own. Okay, 3 more questions here before we're gonna call it a day here. How about bringing in laptops to school? I'll tell you this one a little bit. I brought my laptop into school, but I could not bring that in the classroom. So like even if they for some reason that allowed me to do PowerPoint, I couldn't do it because I couldn't bring it into the classroom. Because some schools care about USB stuff. They're really crazy about USB. Don't put a USB in the computer, or it's going to be a huge problem. You can still do it, by the way, if no one's kind of watching. Yeah. So just don't be conscious of that. So I'd bring my laptop. We'll do work on my laptop, and then I could use USB freely. But I couldn't bring it in the classroom. But again, every school is different. What about you guys? You guys bring a laptop or no?
I do bring my laptop just because I have Photoshop on my laptop, and that's how I like to do all my worksheets. I like to use Photoshop for my worksheets. Also, my school computer is a little old, so it's kind of slow and kind of crappy. So my laptop's a lot better. So I do, but my school is very adamant about the USB usage. Like if you leave a USB on your desk, even if it's on your desk and you walk away, you can get in trouble because I don't know if it's just my school. I think it's like a Japan in general thing where student privacy is very important. So even if, for example, you have like a piece of paper with some stuff printed on the back, like students' names, you have to be careful. Like you just can't throw that away. You have to rip it apart and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So you do have to be careful with USB. I mean, you can use them. In my school, I can use USBs. I use them all the time. But just be careful. Put them inside your desk. Close your laptop. All that stuff. But yeah, I guess it kind of depends. It's ESID as is the theme of this. But yeah, I am able to use a laptop. I am able to use USBs. Just 100% be careful.
Yep. All right, Rachel, how about you?
So my school provides us, every teacher, a laptop, so I don't have to bring one. And it would really be a pain because I have to walk to school, so carrying one would be a pain. And I don't think they would let me use the Wi-Fi at school. I can't use my laptops in my classes. I can rent a media room, which has one already. But other than that, my school is very just blackboards and chalk. So there would be no point to bring my laptop. I couldn't hook it up to anything.
Yeah, that's annoying. That could be annoying. How about you? How about you, Laura?
Yeah, my schools also provide me with laptops. In fact, we recently got upgraded, so we have like fancy new ones. Yeah, I do occasionally bring my own laptop, and it's not something I could really bring in class. It's just too much work, too much hassle. But my schools do have what's called Denshi Pokoban and electronic blackboards, and it's like a big TV. Sometimes they have touch screens, and they have a laptop with them. And for elementary school, we have like all of the digital materials for our textbooks and stuff, and it has like a lot of songs and chants and stuff. So like I can get that, or if I have, for example, when I had my intro lesson, I took a USB and I asked them about like putting it into the computer for the Denshi Kokuban, and they were like, yeah, that's fine. So yeah, so my schools were okay with the whole USB thing, but I do know other people who have the same situation as Guzzie did with like, you know, no USBs, like it's just like you can't, it's locked, like definitely no.
Yeah, yeah. So just keep that in mind,
Yeah.
and you ask when you get to your schools, you learn quickly what you can do, what you can't do.
Right.
Okay, let's do last question here then. The famous question about cash. So, did you guys bring cash with you? How much did you bring? Was it enough? All right, we got 3 people here. Let's get 3 opinions. So let's start with you, Pommes Frites.
So I brought $5,000 with me. Definitely on the higher end, and I used all of it. So not having a predecessor really does hurt your budget, because you're likely going to be in either an apartment that's never been lived in before, or like my school, since I'm the first jet, they didn't really want to shell out money to help reimburse your rent. So I pay my rent on my own. I did my own apartment hunting because my school had failed to find me one that would work. So if you have to find an apartment, which I know a lot of Tokyo Jets will be doing, you have to keep in mind that it's not just key money. It's rent, your deposit, which is usually the first, a month or 2 of rent, and then your key money and maybe even an agent fee. So that can eat up $2,000 to $3,000 right there. And if you want to furnish your place, or if you need to buy a car on top of that, you're easily looking at $5,000. If you already know that your rent's $80, you don't have any fees like that, you don't have to buy a car, you could probably get by at $2,500, but I wouldn't bring any less than that. Like, you can always just put it back in your bank account when you're done.
Yep. How about you, Guzzie?
All right, so I brought $4,000 with me, and that was just to be on the safe side. And I right away put $2,000 in my bank account. I have about $1,000 stashed somewhere in that room behind me. And I've about used $1,000 on stuff. So yeah, I have quite a bit of money saved up and for any type of emergency. But like Rachel said, I didn't have to buy any furniture. I don't have to buy a car. I didn't have to buy a bike. So again, I got kind of lucky on that end. But definitely, at least bring $2,000. At least bring $2,000 just in case something happens. Just in case.
Yeah. So every situation is different, and it's kind of a lottery here. You see, Rachel got unlucky. Guzzie got lucky. So how about Laura? You said you brought 2,000. So was that enough, or would you bring more if you could? How was that?
It was enough, but I wish I had just a little bit more, because it was a bit tight around the end there. I didn't bring it all in cash, actually. That was just my own personal. I just didn't feel comfortable bringing that much cash, so I put it in my bank account at home and took it out at 7-Eleven ATMs, which at the time didn't have international transaction fees. I think that might have changed now.
I've heard that.
Not
Yeah.
entirely sure. Yeah. So yeah, I did, however, bring some American money, and then I think at Heyo there's like a money exchange machine, which is a little high. The fees are a little high, but it did work, and I managed to like get a little bit of money that way, just to have a little bit of money. And then when I got my bank account set up, I think I only put about 1,000 yen in it, because there was no minimum for it. It was just like, put some money in there. And then I had some money that I could take out until I got paid. And also with my apartment situation, I knew that I was coming into a completely empty apartment that hadn't been lived in for several years. I didn't know what was here. I didn't even know if my BOE provided anything. My pred didn't have anything as far as like fridge or washing machine to sell. So I was a bit worried with knowing that I had to buy a car. And also I thought, okay, I might have to buy a fridge. I might have to buy a washing machine. I might have to buy futons. I didn't know. But the gods smiled upon me. And another pred who was leaving, like, he had a house in another area of the city that they decided to like do away with. So he had a lot of like big furniture items that he couldn't sell, and without me knowing it, they brought it in here for me. And like, I have a giant fridge now and like a washing machine, and it was just a very nice surprise that I came into. It was a very ESID situation, but that was stuff that I didn't end up having to pay for, so I was very lucky. But I still did have to pay for my car, which was about 12 mon, so it was about $1,200 for my car. and just, general things like tools and cleaning supplies, food, just general things that I had to get because I didn't have that. So that took up a good chunk of my money at the beginning. And like I said, I did make it last. It was fine. But I do wish maybe it had maybe like 3,000 or so. I think that would have been a good amount of money.
There you go, guys. So obviously 2,000 is kind of the minimum. 3,000 is better. More than that's better. You never know what you're going to need, right? So you could be in a tough situation like Rachel was, or you could have living the high life like Guzzie over there. This is frogs, whatever. So all right, guys, that's it. That is it for the last. Obviously, if you want to have more questions, there's a lot of places you can do that, right? Incoming Jet Boards group. The Discord's there. All the people. We got to get Laura in there. Laura's not a part of the Discord yet. She's going to join soon, I think. And she'll be there to answer questions. Yeah, so Guzzie and Rachel are always on there to ask questions too. I'm always on there too. ALTInsider.com is always on there. The Facebook group's always on there. My final words, just have fun, right? So many people, thousands of people want to be you right now, right? So it's a special place to be in life, right? A lot of people want to be you right now. So it's up to you to take advantage of that chance, right? A lot of people want to have the chance you have. So don't, respect other people that want to do what you want to do and have as much fun as you can and take advantage of your time, right? That's my final advice, right? You have a lot of chance to have fun. You have a lot of chance to learn a lot of stuff. You have a lot of chance to give a lot of fun to a lot of other people. So please take advantage of your chances there. How about final word? Let's go to you, Rachel.
Oh God, me first. Yeah, definitely when you arrive, like it'll be fun in Tokyo, but when you arrive in your placement, if you feel worried or like really like, I can't do this, like just reach out to people. Like don't internalize it, talk to people because it can really eat at you. I don't know about the Jet. They offered us like a mental health hotline. I don't know about that, but definitely make sure your friend group at home is like they're supporting you. Just don't forget to talk to people back home.
Good point. Great point. Guzzie, how about you?
Okay, so yeah, for sure, definitely have a lot of fun. One of the first things that I do recommend, because everything can be so, depending on your situation, just be ready for unexpected things, right? And that happens to me basically every day. Like I'll have to do something that I didn't have to do. Sometimes, like I think I'll have 4 classes and then someone pencils me in for 2 more classes, right? So just be open and ready for anything unexpected. That's the one thing that I do recommend the most. Just be flexible. Okay. The other thing I recommend is if you are watching this and you're not, and you haven't applied to Jet and you're thinking about applying, 100% join the Discord or get involved with the ALTInsider info cycle thing. Because I did it before I applied, and I can't say how much I felt like I was helped by not only the questions that I asked, but you also see the questions that other people asked, and you see the answers that people give to those questions. So between advice for the application front, the interview front, I 100% recommend it. So yeah, that's what I gotta say.
Laura,
and again, just so I can plug it, definitely join the Discord group if you're still even just thinking about Jet, because the interview help with James and just everybody else on there. I think nearly everybody on our Discord got in this year that wanted to. Almost everyone.
Almost everyone.
It's like almost proven.
Yeah, it also was just people, a lot of Jets talking about things, and just talking with people makes your stuff better, right? Just like everyone sharing their thoughts and stuff. It's really cool. Laura, send us home.
So the one piece of advice I got when I first came, and that I thought was very good, is that in your first year, do as much as you can. Again, this is not going to be for everybody, but I think, if things come up in the first year, like opportunities arise, just go ahead and do it. Because, in the end, if you don't do it, you might regret it. Or, if you at the time you're like, oh man, I'm so tired and stuff, but I'll go do this. Later on, you might think, oh, that was a great experience that I had that, I might not have had otherwise, even though I was super tired. My first year, I have a lot of great memories because, I just did that. I climbed a mountain my first couple weeks in Japan. I've never done that before, and I don't think I wouldn't have had it not been for that advice. So my advice to you guys coming in is that same advice of like, just go out there and like James said, take advantage of your opportunities and just make experiences and make memories, because then that first year you'll have those to look back on and be like, yeah, man, I'm glad I did that. So.
There you go, guys. So if you have any questions, plenty of places to find us. But yeah, good luck to everyone. And your job now is just to have fun, right? Work hard and have fun. So thanks for my guests here today. See you next time, guys.